Hey, what is up, everybody? Brady here with Dow Boss. Wanted to break down a property and do some underwriting on a property that we're actually about to start working on as a flip project here in North Dallas here in 2025. Can you believe it? We're here. So I figured this would be really good and really educational for everybody involved to kind of take a deep dive into how, as a flipper, you could underwrite a property, take a look at all the data, take a look at everything that needs to be looked at in order to come up with a proper analysis of where you're going with the project. Obviously, nothing's perfect, right? I mean, part of being in the business, being in real estate, being a fix and flipper, or wholesaler, whatever it may be, is you're not always right. But the goal is to be as close to being right as possible. And if you follow the experience and you have a team, a power team of people coming alongside you to help you with it, you'll be pretty good most of the time. So we're going to dig into a property that we are actually working on with a member of the Gator community who's doing his first fix and flip here in North Dallas, and we're walking with him through it hand in hand, and we're excited about it. And I want to break down how we came up with our numbers, how it looks, because there is a lot of noise out there. And this isn't to slight anybody. Everybody's got to play a role, but between fix and flippers, buy and hold people, wholesalers, agents, contractors, appraisers, lenders, everybody's got their thoughts. But to be honest with you, the one that knows the best is the one that actually does it, right? For example, if I wanted to go get a job as a pool mechanic, hey, I'm going to work on pools. Am I going to learn it all by just sitting and watching some YouTube videos and stuff and reading some books about how to be a good pool mechanic? No, I'm going to learn some for sure. But how am I going to learn the best? Two ways: on the job training and learning by working with someone that does what it is you want to learn how to do. So, we have a lot of these people out there, and God bless them. They do their best to try to take data and put it into some format to give people some answers. But most appraisers have never done a fix and flip. Most appraisers don't know anything about actual construction. Same thing with lenders, and it's not their fault. It's not what they do. Their job is to take basic data, turn it into some type of report, and give it to whoever the person is that's asking them for it. When you're doing fix and flips, as you've seen on various TV shows, and including Pace's own show, Triple Digit Flip, you have to look at more than just the data. You've got to look at the data in conjunction with a lot of other variables. And even looking at the data, you got to make sure you have the right data. So I'm going to take a minute. We're going to break this down, and we're going to jump right in. And I like to use Privy as one of my main tools, which is a big part of one of the tools in the community. And I met the founder and developer of that at Squad Up in 2024, and a great guy. And looking forward to learning more about it. But if you don't use this, I'd recommend you use it. Also, of course, use Redfin, Zillow, MLS, all the other tools that are out there. But this is kind of one place where we can kind of get it all and kind of look at it. So I'll be sharing my screen as we kind of walk through and take a look at different things together. All right, that being said, let's dive into our comp analysis. Let's get into the weeds. Let's get into the nitty gritty. Let's dive in and find out what we're dealing with. As we hear all the noise from everyone else, we got to at some point turn all that off and go, okay, what am I dealing with here? Do I have a good deal? Am I moving forward on this thing or what? Well, let's do it by looking at the data that everyone should be looking at. First thing I like to do when I do an analysis is, if I do have an appraiser analysis, great, I'll look at that. But most of the time, I want to go in and get my comps pulled by some agents, take a look at it myself. Certainly, no one can really do a full analysis without being there, seeing the property, seeing the area, seeing the road. Going on to Google Earth and doing an overview. Are you near power lines or apartment complexes or something like that can play a role? Do all that research, and if you're not, you need to be. But the next thing I do is go in and I look at comps, and I look at a variety of different comps. I don't just look at solds. I look at listings. I'll look at similar properties. Maybe they're off by a bedroom or so. You've got to look at a lot of things. You want to look at what's really going on in that market, in that area, not just two or three, exact comps, for example. And this house is really important because in this case, the appraiser we were dealing with didn't realize that we were adding a bedroom, possibly adding a bathroom to the house, which makes a a jump in price automatically. So you want to go in and look at things. And I look at three different types of comps. I look at sold comps. I look at active listings. Okay. And then I, of course, look at the pendings and the contracted. Why do I look at active listings? Well, because I want to see what's going on. A good example of that, here we are in early 2025, literally day one. And we had such a slow go of it in 2024 that it wasn't until post-election things started moving forward that we have this lull. We had this back in COVID too, if you remember, where everything just kind of stopped. So there's no real active comps necessarily in certain areas from, say, May until the election. Things just kind of died. Does that mean that area is no good or that your comp analysis is wrong? No, you got to understand what happened there. What happened was there was a big pause because of the unknown of the election and everything else, and everything just kind of stopped. Now it's picking up again. So you have to kind of look at what's on the market right now, because it tells you what others are thinking, right? Every agent that has a client that's going to list a home for sale is licensed. They have an ethical, a professional, duty to doing business a certain way. They're not just going to randomly come up with a number and go tell their client, yeah, sell it for $600,000, sell it for $250 a square foot. Now, sometimes the seller will demand that, and that's fine. But these agents, they're professionals. So you can lean on some of that to go, well, if they're listing their home at $250 a square foot, then I can take maybe 5% of that and knock it down. Maybe I'm at 240 or 230 and still be pretty safe, because they may just be shooting for it. But I know they're going to be pretty accurate, right? Because these are professionals. And so if you look at 3 or 4 different homes that are listed and you see a common theme in terms of price per square foot, then you can feel pretty good that you'll be in that range if you mirrored whatever it was that was done to those homes, especially those top dollar homes. So that's something you have to look at when you're looking at comps. It's not just the solds, it's also the actives based on whatever's been going on in that area, and you can feel comfortable. And then you match those. If you match your listings with your solds, you should see something pretty similar there in terms of pricing and trends and things that you can make a decision and base your own thoughts and analysis on. Okay, so let's dive right in. Again, when I look at comps, I look at not only whatever comps I may be getting from my agent or from an appraiser, but I also do my own. And so I go into Privy, and here's let me get this screen shared here properly. There we go. So going into Privy, I've got of course, our property here. Let's go through it real quick. It's a 3.2 as of now, 2,728 square feet. 1972 is when it was built, in 10,000 square foot lot. It's in a great location, Plano, Texas, which is unbelievable and hot. Is going to be one of the biggest areas of the country this year, experts say. It's just your typical home. It does have a pool. It's got a big backyard. It's got lots of extras to it, if you will. And so we look at it and go, okay, and you can kind of see that, it's just your typical layout. The kitchen's tucked away back in there, and hopefully I've been able to kind of impose some video walkthrough that I did of this house. And by the way, that is something that's really important, is to try to get on site if you can and look at it. So when I go into it, first thing I do, I go over here and I look at some comps. I want to see, just kind of on my own what's going on. And so the very first comp we're going to look at is a house that caught my attention here on Mullimer that, let's see if this is it here. Nope, that's not it. Here we go, Mullimer. I see this house listed for $630,000, sold last year, in March of 24. And I look at it and go, okay, well, what's going on here? This is a 4.2, which is where we're going to go with our house on Monticello. A little bit larger, but they only got 217 a square foot. I'm like, whoa, that's not where I want to be. My goal here on this house, based on my analysis, is to be somewhere between 232 and 240, and which would put us at 230 or so a square foot. And I look at this house, and the very first thing that pops off at me is no curb appeal. So let's go look at this property here. Let's take a look at some pictures. No curb appeal at all. Didn't do anything to the front, no color, nothing. They just left it as is. They didn't even paint the brick, and that's cheap and easy to do if you got a guy on your team like I do that can do it. And it's a one-story home. They could paint it in a day, maybe two, and it totally changes the whole look of the house. They didn't do that. I noticed, and I've looked at these obviously before this recording, so I'm going to go pretty quick. But there's no pool. I mean, there's no yard. It's just a pool, and the pool's older. The fence is nice, but there's literally no yard at all. That's a huge negative. That takes you down. That eradicates a big chunk of your buyer pool that has dogs, pets that just wants a yard for the kids. And this is a family area, so that's a big negative. And we walk in, and the first thing I notice is this flooring is just not installed. It is darker flooring. It's painted well, I guess. The gray is really not in either anymore. But the flooring is just really, really tough, in my opinion. And the house has a strange layout. You're going to see that as we go through here. We've got a kitchen that's cornered into a rounded dining room, breakfast area over here on the left. It's very odd, makes the kitchen really small, and it also cramps the living room space, which you'll see here as we get to it. Here's our living room, and we're dealing with a fireplace. They may have painted that brick. I don't know. They just did nothing. I mean, this is easy stuff that doesn't cost much money to add some kind of floating shelves over here on the right, some natural wood, cut off this brick and frame it out and give it some character with some shiplap or something, guys. I mean, just really, really small living room. Yeah, we have the vaulted ceilings, but just, again, small living room, which really hurts the look and feel. I mean, look, it looks bigger in this picture because I did a wide angle, but I promise you standing in there, it would be really small. So we're dealing with some funky layout issues. We go through, we see that they had some odd choices for material colors like this. Look here, I don't even know what that is. That countertop is just really, just less to be desired. Nice barn door there, that's fine. Again, the countertop here, we got one sink and a master. That's tough. These are the little things that make such a big difference. Shower's fine. Not real big fan of that tile work there in the soap dish box, but again, here's our backyard, literally nothing but a pool. So now I know why they were at $217 a square foot. They could have done some minor things. They could have, honestly, had they filled the pool in, which costs about $9,000 to $10,000, they would have had a yard. I think they would have gotten more than the $10,000 they spent just for having a yard. So that alone is why we know this is not really a comparable. Okay, so that's our comparable number one at $217 a square foot. We know we're going to be way better than that. And the way to look at this, by the way, guys, is when you're looking at this, if you know what you're doing and you've been doing this for a while, you know that your product. I was, just as an example, was meeting with another high-end flipper in Dallas recently, and when they do their comp analysis, they literally do it this way. He's like, we find the highest price per square foot home in that area, and that is our comp. We don't need 5 comps. I need that one because ours is always going to be equal or above the quality and the workmanship of that one. And they've been doing it for 20 years, by the way, because they know their product. They know what they're going to do. And that's the way we do it. When we go in, when we're done, our house will be the nicest flip in that area. It just will be. We will be the one people would be basing their flips on in the future. And if we're doing it right, we'll find another one in that area and do another one the same way. So, and it doesn't mean you're spending necessarily tons of money more than you have to. It just means you do the little things like those floating shelves I was talking about, those little touches in the front of the house that cost you next to nothing. That's what separates you from the $217 a square foot to the $330 a square foot on properties like that. So let's keep going here and look at our next comp. Now, this comp was actually on the report, so I'm going to go back here and type it in. This one is 2373 Monticello, which is on the same street. So this is can't get any better than that. So we go look at this, and we see, again, clean front yard, clean front of the house. But again, they didn't paint it. Again, a one-story house is it may be, if you're hiring a painter, yeah, it's going to cost you $5,000. If you have internal painters that work as part of your team, you get it done for about half that. And it's worth it because it changes the whole look of the house. It's not necessarily absolutely needed, but if you could do it, do it. Just changes the whole look from pictures and everything else. Now, walking in this house, I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this house because this is not even a flip. I don't even know why the appraiser put this one on the comp report. They ended up over here at $210 a square foot. It's a 4-bed, 2-bath, 2,500 square feet, which is smaller than ours, but certainly $210 a square foot. It's ridiculous. But you could tell by opening the front door. First of all, the old door, they kept the old door. They got the old lighting. They got the popcorn ceiling still going on in here. They left the old flooring here. The gray paint. They basically just didn't do much to this house. It didn't open it up. This is the front of the home. So none of this light from these windows over here on the right comes into the living area. And all they had to do, if you look over to the left, is take this living room wall here, cut it in half, cut it down by half, which is easy to do, just demo, fix it up, cost you next to nothing, would have let all of that light into the main living area, which is this wall right here where this picture is behind the couch. That light would have come in, made this living area look bigger than it is because it's really tiny. They didn't update the fireplace at all. They just basically did nothing to this house. They cleaned it. The staging is terrible. They threw in these barn doors, which is okay there. I mean, another thing too is look at this flooring in this bedroom. We're looking at flooring and we look at how many different floorings are there. You don't want 20 different flooring patterns or colors in a home. The fewer the better. It makes a house like this feel so much bigger and broader and cleaner when you don't see a lot of different. I don't even know what this lighting system here is in this office. This is kind of ridiculous. But as you go forward here, look at the kitchen. Now the kitchen was redone. We got very cheap countertops here. We've got you're ready to assemble cabinetry, which is fine. I'm not really sure about this tile selection here by the cooktop. It's just odd when you kind of look at it. But this is about the only place that actually did some decent work in terms of colors and some materials. I'm not a real big fan of the flooring. I wouldn't have done it that way. But here's where you look. Look at this bathroom. This is literally a 1973 countertop and cabinet. I mean, look at that whole setup there with the toilet. Didn't change it out. Didn't even put a nice light in there. I mean, my gosh, those are $80. They could have changed it out to look like something more modern. So you got to look at these things here. We go to the rest of the house. I mean, look at this ugly flooring in the master. The bathroom is again a joke. Totally old. They didn't update any of that at all. I mean, look at this glass brick. Oh, it's just god awful ugly. Look at this bathroom, guys. I mean. And then they randomly do the utility room, and they didn't even do it right. It's ugly too. I mean, look, you got 14 different styles of things happening in here, but why did they put money into this? And then again, now this backyard's not bad in pictures, but it's all pool. So you have a pool with no yard. Okay, guys. So this is not a comp. It's on the comp report at $210 a square foot, but it is not comparable to what you should or what we will be doing. So we go down. So now we're 2, and I've got 5 we're going to go through, and 2 of them are already, knock them off, Monticello and Mollimer. Now we're going to go to comp number 2 on the report, which is 2333 Claridge. Okay. And this is going to start, kind of showing us some things as we dig into this in terms of, kind of what's to look at, what's going on, and things like that. Okay. In front of the house, again, no curb appeal. Didn't even redo the landscaping. You could have taken all this out, put mulch in there, add some accents to the front of the home. Okay. This sold in July of 24, by the way. So we're getting closer now to current comps. Again, no curb appeal really. They could have done some things to do that, but let's look at the house itself. Now I'm like, okay, I'm liking these beams. They didn't redo the fireplace, but at least it's clean and nice. It's something that they painted. They kept the cabinetry here. Maybe they redid this trim work here. They painted the paneling that's in the home. They left it gray, which again, gray is definitely on its way out the door. Touches of gray is fine, but not as a main color. But they did open up the dining room a little bit here into the living area. So we got some good things they did here. By the way, they're at $231 a square foot on this home, 4-bed, 2-bath, smaller than our home. So now we're in the price range per square foot because these people actually did a little bit of work to this house. You can see it's a little bit opened up. They got a new front door. They did not put in new doors. They didn't even put a barn door in here. So they missed some things out, but they got what they wanted out of it. Pretty nice master bathroom, 2 sinks, nice shower, all new. You can see that here. Nice and clean. Here's the kitchen. Now, the interesting thing about this kitchen is, what did they do? They left the original cabinets. And it looks like, to be honest, they left the original backsplash. Very odd to me. This is why I call this one kind of a half flip. You can see this terrible tile over here, right here on the side of this cabinetry and the backsplash. I mean, they could have easily ripped that out, put in some new stuff. It cost them a few $100. We got some decent countertops, but they left the old cabinets. You can tell because of these old hinges here on the cabinets. Have I been doing this a while? Yeah, I've been doing it a while. I know how to see things real quick. But it is clean and it is updated as far as that's concerned. They just didn't, go in, and they should have actually gone in and just had a trim guy come in and re-door the cabinets and put new doors on, take out the backsplash. It would have made a difference. But guess what? They got $231 a square foot. That's probably all they cared about. We've got a pool, but what also do we have? If you look over on the right, we also have some yard. So they got both, pool and yard. What do we have? Pool and a yard on ours. So now we're starting to see a little bit more of a comparable analysis here. So again, they left some of the old flooring in here, and they were able to get $231 a square foot. So that is actually a positive, affirming comp. 2333 Claridge. Now let's go look at another one that was on the report, and this one's 2316 Kidwell. I think it's Kidwell Circle. This one's around the corner, and here's probably my favorite comp, or one of my favorite comps. And on the report, we look at it here. Again, nice curb appeal. They painted the brick. It looks like they painted the siding. They did go with gray. Again, not a huge fan of the gray, but it looks nice. It's clean. They updated the landscaping. See, these are the things that people are doing what they know how to do, and they're doing it right. New front door, new address there on the side of the house. You open it up, great flooring. They opened up the wall so you can see into the living room. This house is actually done really well, staged very well. We got a nice living room here it's got the vaulted ceilings in it. They redid the fireplace. Modernized it with some tile. House is staged very well. I mean, this house is done very well. And look what they got, guys. $238 a square foot, 4-bed, 3-bath, 2517, which is less square footage. Which, if you go with the square footage of our house, we would have been at, get this, with that comp, which this was sold in August, at the end of August of 24, 4 months ago. Okay. Before the election, before all that changed. We're going to talk about it in a second. They got $238 a square foot, which would put us at our property with a pool, because they have no pool. You'll see that here in a minute in this photo. That put us at 649 ARV, guys. 649. So let's keep going here. Look at the rest of this home. It's nice, opened up. They did some simple opening here. These are things that are easy to do, don't cost you much money. They did some nice, updating of the cabinets. It looks like IKEA cabinetry, which I'm guessing is what they probably went with here, which at this price point is fine. Really nice, clean, just white. I love white. It's neutral. Everybody loves white. Don't go over the top of your backsplash, etc. They really did a good job. This bathroom is killer. I don't like the enclosed shower tub combo, but people do. They walled all did tile on all the walls. I think that's probably a little bit overkill there. The floating cabinetry, which is nice. The nice mirrors. I mean, the nice touches just make the difference. The kitchen and the master bathroom. Those are your two big selling points. And you got to make sure you have a space for the man's TV. All right, so we get to the backyard and we look at what they did back here. Go through the rest of the house. Again, it's all clean, very nice. And here we go, backyard, nice appeal out there in the back. You've got a place to hang out, which is something that you want to try to do if you can. Nice fence, but no pool. So you either got to have something like this, or you got to offset it with a pool that provides that entertainment kind of thing that's in the backyard. And again, great comparable. So that is a ding, ding, ding. If I had a bell, I'd ding it right now. That's Kidwell. So now we're at two comps, one at 238, 231 a square foot, one at 238 a square foot. Let's go to another one that's not on the report that I found when I went back over here. And it's, I'm going to type it in and we'll wrap up here. 1225 Prince George Drive, Plano. Okay. This one sold again in July, so 5 months ago, a little over 5 months ago. It sold at $232 a square foot. Okay, sold $232 a square foot. It's a 4.2, again smaller, 2,652 square feet. It was only on the market for 38 days. This is a great one to look at. Let's go in and look at it. Okay, what do you notice? First of all, it looks like they left the old flooring. I'm not sure if that's new flooring or not. Hard to tell. They may have refinished old flooring, painted the paneling, left the fireplace, but did a little touch here of a mantle on the fireplace. You're going to see as we walk through this one, this was a decent rehab, but they didn't go over the top. They used some color, or they left the color of that back room. You can see back there. Here's our kitchen. Again, they used some darker gray in the kitchen, which I probably wouldn't have done, but I do like this backsplash. The good clean cabinetry. I love the dual color, one color up top, another color below. New appliances. They did the right touches here. Backsplash looks good. Again, they did this funky backsplash under the oven, which I don't know why they're doing that. I just run all the same, but really clean, new, and nice. So you'll see that as you go through here. You kind of flip through the rest of the home. They wanted to use some colors in their walls, which is fine. Take a little bit of risk with that. They got their can lighting going in there. Here's our entertainment room with the Crawford box ceiling, which is probably original. Looks like they left the original cabinetry over here in this little bar area on the left. As you can see the hinges here. So they just left that kind of as is. There's a better picture of that. All the wainscoting on the walls, they left that. My guess is this probably is just the way the homeowner had it for the most part. The master bathroom, they redid this. They got a tucked-in shower here, which is a little scary to get away with, but they did it. They put the standalone tub. We got old cabinets that they left here, and they just went with the old cabinetry. They left the fur down with the light in there. So I mean, they got away with quite a bit, but yet it's clean and nice and colorful. And so that's what was the appeal to most people. And so here's the front of the home, nice and clean. They made it nice and clean, the sidewalk, and cleaned up the landscaping. They didn't paint it. My guess is they painted that soffit, which gave it a little bit of a different touch. So when you look at this, you see that the real flips, the ones that are going to be as close to what we do as there is out there, got north of 230 a square foot. And matter of fact, the one that's going to be the most like what we do, and I'm going to be honest, our house is going to be better than any of those we just looked at. So we can safely say we're going to be in that 230 to 240 range. Let me just show you what those numbers are if we get into that 240 a square foot range. And I'm going to tell you why. 240 a square foot at our house. We're at 2728. If we're at 240 a square foot, probably can't read it here, but that puts us at 654 ARV. All the appraisers in the world and all the investors, oh my gosh, no way, you're so wrong. You don't know what you're doing. No, you don't know what you're doing. I just walked you through what I know how to do and what it is that makes these deals real. We just looked at data. We didn't look at hypothetical. We didn't look at my opinion or, hey, I had a good breakfast today. No, we looked at real data. Now, what we didn't talk about, which I'm going to wrap this up with here, is we didn't talk about where we are on the calendar and where we're at in terms of events and where we're at in terms of location. So let's go through that. let's go through the things that make this house stand out above the others. What are the key things? Number one, it's going to be nice and clean, big open living area with tall vaulted ceilings and a shotgun kitchen. We have an extra space that could be used for an office. None of these houses had that. We're going to have another bedroom, maybe even another bathroom inside that whole reconfiguration. Huge master bedroom and closet space, which is bigger than all the others. We have a pool, and it's nice and will be clean. It's been well kept. And we have a yard, an actually pretty good sized yard for people to have for kids and for pets. So we have that going for us in this house. But here's the other things. We are in Plano, which is projected to be one of the top cities for flipping and investing literally in 2025 in the country. Number two, we're starting at the slowest time of the year, but finishing at the highest peak sales-wise of any calendar year in real estate. Anybody with a brain knows that the hottest time to buy a home or sell a home is between March and May of every calendar year. And we're going to be right in that threshold, getting it done and getting it on the market. Number three, we're in Texas. So again, we're in the area where everybody's moving. Texas has never really slowed down that much compared to the rest of the country. And we're in the beginning of the year. So now the momentum is happening. And we also are post-election, which won't get into politics here, but the way it went is going to make things really rock and roll for us. We have also lower costs on our materials and on our work, because the fact that in my case, we're using a crew that I control, and I have the resources from all of that to keep our costs down. So exciting, guys. This house is going to be great. I do expect that we will be in that 235 range, somewhere around 635 to 640. There was one of these houses, by the way, which was the 233 Claridge home that sold at 231 a square foot, and they got over asking price on their house. And that was pre-election when it was slow in the summer of last year. So we're in a good place. This is a great house. It's a great deal. And if you look at the numbers, the way I just walked you through them, everybody in their right mind would say, yes, let's go do it. So I hope you had a good day. I hope you're ready to have a good year and that made sense to you. And we'll talk to you soon.